So you know what we should do? I just had this thought is get Herbert to do like a 30-second mix track for us.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, let's go.
We incorporate that as our countdown music instead of whatever that is.
DJ.
I'll say the biggest issue with the countdown music, in my opinion, is that it starts off pretty vibey and then like 4 seconds in it like slows down. I'm like,
did you notice that? Okay.
Up, yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure there's a massive tempo change that occurred between the first 4 seconds.
Let's ramp it up. So like we're at like 168 beats per second when we start.
Per second. Wow.
Per second.
Yeah. It's a lot. We're getting after it, Jay.
We're just raving.
Hey, Dan's in the house music, so
yeah, the savant over there. But hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Hopefully you're enjoying your Thursday morning so far. Excited to be with y'all this morning for another episode of Unicorn Finders. For those of you who do not know what this is a podcast that was created by Dan, Jake, and I back in early 2000 when COVID hit. Dan, Jake, and I are actually friends outside of work. You can actually be friends with your colleagues outside of work. And so we wanted an excuse to hang out together once a week. And so we created this. And so it's gone through a few iterations, but now we're pretty dead set on highlighting companies, products, individuals doing some pretty cool stuff that you probably haven't heard of. So we're very excited to bring Herbert Brown on the show. Herbert, thanks for joining, man. If you can give just a quick 30-second background about you, and then we'll go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, Herbert Brown, senior developer / instructor for the Mississippi Coding Academies, the Jackson campus. Glad to be here, and yeah, this is fun. Always fun.
I love it. And his free time, he does spin records. But we legit need to talk about you doing our intro. All right, cool. So let's dive in. So Mississippi Coding Academy. Really talk about what gives y'all the unicorn factor, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to watch this now in the future that probably can be like another boot camp, right? There's a lot of them out there. And so talk about what you are doing that are different, and maybe some partnerships that you all have as well.
Right. So trying to be brief with this, we are an 11-month course in fundamentals of full stack web development. So that's one thing I think that sets us is that we're 11 months as opposed to, like those 12-week boot camps. Other thing is we are tuition free. So we're no cost at all to individuals. We have grown dramatically over the last 5 years. Initially, we started off looking for kids coming right out of high school, right? That was our initial plan. We based it off of Base Camp Coding Academy in Water Valley, Mississippi, which is maybe like 2 hours north of where I am. And they take exclusively high school graduates, so kids coming right out of high school, rather. But we threw that away quickly and started working with recent graduates, that's what we call them, so anywhere from 18 to 22. And after a couple years, that turned into us working with anybody of any age that wanted to learn how to code. And then that turned into not just in the state of Mississippi, but really anywhere in the world. I actually have four Nigerians who are enrolled in the evening time. So we have two.
That's
courses.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome. We have two courses, one the daytime for targeting, young people. My college didn't work out like, a lot of people, but want to learn something. And we have an evening course, which is for working individuals, maybe want to learn a new skill, change their career, what have you. At any rate, that the evening course, that's where our Nigerians are. So they're like, 6 hours ahead of us. So they're up coding at, 2 in the morning, which is crazy because I'm not going to do that. But,
right. No, absolutely.
Yeah, but they do. So I think, the biggest things that set us apart, I believe, is we're 11 months as opposed to like 12 weeks. So we kind of get a lot more thorough. Everything is pretty much project based. Don't do grades or homework or tests or anything like that. And it's free, like no charge at all. We supply laptops for anybody who needs laptops. Any books that we use, we supply those as well. I mean, we're just looking for individuals that want to learn how to code.
Yeah.
Developer. That's what we do. So
Herbert, I've got a question. Just about you guys, your curriculum, and then ultimately outreach. It's kind of a two-part unrelated question. One, touch us a little bit about your coursework and everything else, because 11 months is definitely, substantially longer than most, which allows a lot more time, not only for learning and acclimation, but also from a project-based portfolio perspective, where I know a lot of folks from, these code camps do struggle with, what do I have that's tangible? And then two, how do you guys, and this is kind of that leads into the question that we always ask, like your unicorn factor, how do you guys reach out and find folks to join your program, compared to, something that maybe doesn't seem as intensive, maybe in terms of time?
Right. Okay. So our stack, again, we do in Jackson, we do the fundamentals of full stack web development. Now we do have 2 other locations in Mississippi, one down on the coast in Biloxi and one in Starkville, Mississippi. And they are .NET, because the instructors there, that's their stack. I happen to learn web development, being an instructor for the academy. That's a whole another story in its own. But so HTML, CSS, JavaScript, MySQL. Then we get into the back end using Node and Express, and then we wrap everything up in React. And it is project based. Like I said, I don't do homework or quizzes. I don't tell them, turn to chapter 9 and read, these paragraphs, and we'll answer some questions later. No, that's not it. I try to treat it like work. So I try to act more like a senior manager, where I say, okay, hey, this is a project that we need done. Here's some concepts, whatever I'll show you to help you along with it. I need it done by Friday, and if you have questions, here I am. Here's our other instructor. Ask questions. You can help each other out. But I need it done by this day. Push it up on everything. So, but we're teaching, a lot. Okay. There's a lot of material that we do cover. And I think that certainly gives us an advantage over the traditional boot camps. Because I actually have some individuals who tried out the boot camps and couldn't keep up with the pace. Came to the academy and they like the pacing. We're still pretty fast paced, and there's a lot of material that we cover. However, I'm able to dig a little deeper in the material and help them to understand some concepts. Whereas, instead of just, hey, go build a temperature converter, go build a to-do list, and and just kind of out there. It's like, okay, yeah, we're going to build this to-do list, but I will need you to see these steps, how we do it. And this is a way of doing it, not the way. This is how I do it, but I guarantee the next time I do it, I'm going to do it differently. So pacing is different, but we're able to cover a lot more material and dig deeper into it. As far as getting individuals into the academy, I also handle the recruiting, amongst other things. So going to high schools, going to churches or other events, where college fairs, whatever, career fairs, and just talking to people, talking to the kids, and showing them, hey, this is something you could do. I know it's not college, right? We don't do that, but it's just, it's a different track, right? And
it's great, though.
It's free, and help you get a job once you leave here. Let your company pay for your college education,
Yeah, well, and even so, you get to understand something else that's out there, see if you have a knack for it or not, without really having to give yourself a ton of risk either.
Absolutely.
Right, or a lot of debt or whatever, which is great.
Right. The biggest risk is like getting up every morning and driving to the office. That's really it. I'm a cool guy to hang around.
So if I could ask a question, just though, how did that partnership come about? I was reading on the website about Innovate Mississippi, and like some of the directives from the the governor there to kind of help fund some of these things. Just so cool, because Jackson's been a pretty big emerging tech hub, especially in the last 5 years.
Right.
A lot of good stuff coming out of there. What did that whole, where do you guys fit into that innovation Mississippi ecosystem, and how did that work?
Right. So Innovate Mississippi, they're like kind of like Shark Tank, if you will, for the state of Mississippi. They were meeting with Mississippi Development Authority, trying to tackle the issue of the brain drain in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I think the last time I looked at it, this was astonishing. This may be like a couple of years ago, maybe right before COVID. Mississippi, the state of Mississippi does not graduate a lot of computer science degrees. I think out of the 7 institutions, I saw like one year was like 56 total that graduated, which, it's not a lot at all. And they move, right? So they were meeting to discuss how can we, fix this brain drain. And they were banging their heads together, and they heard about the Coding Academy in Water Valley, Mississippi, Base Camp Coding Academy. And so they met with them and they had a good conversation. Base Camp did not want to expand operations. So Innovate and the Development Authority, they guys said, okay, well, we're going to expand, so we'll create our own. And so that was February of 2017. I came along. I was actually the very first hire, and that was August 2017. When I heard about the opportunity, and I had no experience. I had done minimal coding. Like I did a camp at University of Colorado Boulder for 2 summers, where we were playing around with this software that the computer science department had created there for teaching computer science to middle school kids. That was it. That was all I've done. Like move this block over here, move this block there, and that was all I'd done. But they were looking for someone with classroom management experience. I'm a former high school teacher, so I had that. But I got on, and really, that's kind of the story right there.
Yeah.
The academy, they got together in February, said we're going to do this. They had nothing, right? And we just kind of did it from scratch, starting in August.
Wow.
That's awesome. I want to ask a quick question as we wrap up here over the next few minutes. Can you talk about some successes? Obviously, one allow you to brag on yourself and your institution.
Yeah, I have so many. A few that come to mind is one. He was actually an instructor for us for about a year, but Ethan is his name. I might shout out to Ethan. Ethan he came to the academy. He was 23. Didn't finish high school. He had to leave quit high school, family issues. Was driving trucks. Hadn't done any programming before. He came to the academy. We ran him through the boot camp, which is like a week trial period for them. And he came. I was teaching Python, and he practiced a little stuff at the house. I was like, "Oh, look what I can do!" I'm like, "All right, cool. Go make Pac-Man." Just kind of like get him out of my face, because he was like, just kept bothering me. Like, all right, cool. Go make because I've made Pac-Man before. I was like, all right, go make Pac-Man. And so he came back the next day and had already had like Pac-Man moving around, and had laid out the floor. I said, all right, cool. I see you doing something, work on collision. What happens when Pac-Man touches a pellet? And boom, did that the next day. At any rate, like Ethan, he finished, he graduated from the academy, and started working. I remember where he was at a marketing agency, I want to say. But he did that for a couple of years, then came to us. I have some other stories like that. Young lady, she was Akita, another former instructor as well, but she was working in home health care before she came to the academy. Well, while she was at the academy, because she was working 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. doing home health care, and then coming into the office every day from 9 to 5 coding with us as well. Yeah.
Wow.
And she finished. She went to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
That's cool.
Research Development Center, did that for a year, came and taught with us for a year, and now she's working in the Secretary of State's office.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got plenty of stories like that. Who, just really crazy circumstances that they're coming from, and they come and and they succeed, and they go out there doing well. Now, some are mid-level managers and whatnot. There's plenty of stories. I got plenty of those.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, Herbert, thanks for joining us, man. This was great.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I will. I'll go ahead and pop you out of the screen. You're more than welcome to stay on it and listen to our banter back and forth. Where can people find you or your organization? Where's the best place?
Right, on the Googles. We are
Googles. There you go.
www.mscoding.org. You can go to our website if you're interested in applying. We have a big red button on there that says apply now or apply here, something like that. But that's where you can find us. Also at Mississippi Coding Academies on all of the socials. So you can check us out there. Yeah, this is cool. This is always fun. I like doing stuff like this. I think that's the only place, or you can just come to our office, come hang out with me.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love that.
We're here for that.
I love it.
So we like to have fun in there. But yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work, dude.
Thanks, brother.
Y'all take care.
All right.
Bye.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You first.
I was just saying, I think all of us in some respects have been following what Mississippi's been doing in regards to just really putting an emphasis in education through technology, and it's been paying off a ton, especially in Jackson. There's a lot have been coming out of there over the last 5 years. I don't do this often, but I actually applaud some politicians' policies down there, because they've really, really put their money where their mouth is to kind of make sure that to give opportunity across the state. And it's been cool to see, really cool. And and this Coding Academy is definitely something that's part of it, being a joint venture, I guess, if you will. So
yeah. No, I think too, obviously, Nashville Software School is in Nashville, and they're doing some pretty great things. I know they have different types of programs, but I think the big thing with this one is obviously it's free. When I went down to speak in Mississippi, I really saw the thriving tech market in Jackson. This is obviously where I met Herbert, and there is a lot of devs down there, and it's crazy. When I told people I was speaking down in Mississippi at a tech conference, they're like, "Wait a minute, there's tech in Mississippi," which again is the reason why I want to bring on Herbert and show that there's a lot of great things going on down there. For sure.
Yeah, don't know enough about Mississippi, just from a tech market perspective, but my research has shown obviously their salaries are quite a bit less, the number of jobs are quite a bit less, and I think that there's still a big desire to get into that space and to grow in that space in Mississippi. And I think that what they're doing is really cool. And I want to pivot to their academy itself, because I think what's really, really fascinating about this and what I like about it is that it's not this super intensive 13-week program. I think that the three of us have definitely interacted with a lot of people that have come out of code schools, and there's great kids that can come out of a 13-week code school. But I do think, and this just comes with, we've often talked about, especially when you get into this business, like what's the difference between like a 5-year developer and a 7-year developer? It's like not always skill. Sometimes it's just exposure. And I think that over the course of 11 months, it just gives you so much more access to exposure and the ability to learn and try and fail and learn different ways that can or cannot work. So I do think that that's a really cool way to attack. Let's get you more experience. Let's build your portfolio, and let's not just rush you in to
I think that's
out.
I think that's so good. I didn't even think about that. Just exposure. You can only get exposed to so many things in 13 weeks.
Right. Yeah. Even if you're developing 80 hours a day or 80 hours a week for 13 weeks, right?
80 hours a day and 136 beats per second.
Right.
136 beats per second.
But I think that what you're going to be able to graduate with is a bigger portfolio, more exposure, and the ability to tangibly talk about during an interview process what you were able to learn and accomplish, and maybe even how your mindset's changed, or the way that you approach and attack problems has changed over the course of month 1 to month 6, and 6 to 9, and 9 to 11.
Yeah, and also while you're in that, the longer that you're in that kind of learning mindset too, the bigger, the more you can grow your network. You get opportunity to have discounts for conferences, to like, all this stuff too. And you're just so much more equipped. So
yeah, I was going to talk about that. I mean, I think another thing too, I think, going down to Jackson and speaking and obviously learning a little bit about the tech landscape down there, I think it's important for Herbert and what he's doing in these code schools to build community. Right. I mean, I think I talk about that all the time, like in Nashville Software School, like more than anything else, more than instructors, more than the curriculum, they have a community. And I think for places like Mississippi to change the mindset of tech across the country, you have to have the Herbert Brown starting this Mississippi Coding Academy, where over the next 5-10 years, you're going to have thousands of people that have gone through the program to build a community down in that area, which I think is incredibly vital.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna start hiring down there.
Yeah, I know. So anything else, guys? I think this was great. I mean, I think, again, I mean, there's a lot of code schools out there, but I think what Herbert's doing with the 11-month program, give it not it being like super like reading a book. One of the examples I read was, reading a book on badminton for an entire semester in physical education and not playing is going to be different than if you had 3 months of playing badminton instead of reading a book. Right. And so it's one of these situations.
No, I think that's huge. And I do think that time is so important. I think that the amount of time that you spend just even tinkering on your own, right? Because like if you're a dev and you're jumping in, now you're getting exposed to a little bit further into the tech, right? Like you're not just learning the basics of Angular or React or, web development. Now, all of a sudden you start to get connected into like how databases work and how the structural and theoretical things happen and work, which we've kind of talked about is something that a lot of code, school, like the 13-week programs, like struggle with when they go for interviews. It's like, man, I really know that you can do X, Y, and Z, but there's all of these theoretical reasons behind why X, Y, and Z work that can make it challenging for you to plug, right into a production, environment that over the course of 11 months, you just are going to get more exposure and more access to. And then hopefully those students, as they, learn and grow their passion month 3, month 4, while they're getting better at Angular or, JavaScript, are going to start to understand, that business logic layer and that database layer and how they all play together to be able to create a more comprehensive graduate, which I think is great.
Yeah, and just understanding how a project works,
right.
That we talked about that last time. Somebody you're kicking out in 12 or 13 weeks, and you're like, how's the work organized? They don't often have the time to go over something like that, So
well, and also too, I mean, the one thing we continue here, and Jake, obviously, you run our software consulting arm of Vaco. I mean, I'm sure you can speak to this. It's not necessarily sometimes what you can code; it's how you communicate and think through problems. And again, I think going back to it, I think it's butts in the seat for a longer amount of time to be able to work through that stuff.
Problem solving. It's really what it is. It's
right.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, and building on project timelines and all that other kind of stuff, right? Like you can create. And if you're not following like an actual like project timeline of when does this need to be delivered by, when do I need to push this out into production by, right? Like those are things that if you're just kind of tinkering by yourself at home, you might not be used to that pressure, that kind of stringent timeline piece of it. So applaud what they're doing over in Mississippi. That's really, really cool. And I'm definitely rooting for their success. We have a couple minutes. I'm not sure if you guys are looking to leave a little bit early here, but my heart, the bottom of my heart goes out to all the folks that are getting impacted. I saw that Root had a big layoff yesterday. They were kind of the new cool Columbus-based InsurTech that has just cataclysmically failed. Meta, Twitter, Stripe kind of goes down.
I mean, there's more DoorDash.
There's a lot more. I know Lyft and Uber. They're struggling. I know that there's a lot of big tech struggling. My heart does go out to that there is, a great opportunity for you out there. But from the bottom of my heart, man, it sucks. But at least we spent $15 billion on the metaverse instead, right? So.
Yeah, maybe you can get a job in fake land. Yeah, I think it's kind of one of those things too, where there's a lot of mid-market companies that are finally getting to hire, and I hope that you all find a great home there, that you're valued not just by the salary and stock options they show you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these mid-market companies can't do that, but they actually know you as a person. We talked about this 18 months ago when it was like, damn, every FANG company is hiring every engineer for twice of what they were getting before. And we were saying this, we're like, they're over hiring. And we didn't even know, obviously we don't know the intimacies of their business, but when you're just looking at, if you're hiring 20,000 people in a single year, you're over hiring. There's no way you could possibly organize those people, into something. And so, that's what we said. We're like, get your salary while you can, just know that it's not real, So I hope.
No, I agree.
And
call it, yeah.
What do you call it, Taylor?
No, I was just saying. We called it.
And listen, it's not something we want to brag about either, right?
No. We wish we were wrong. This is one of the situations where we wish we were wrong.
Yeah.
But,
100%. Yeah.
Right. And this just goes, Marshawn Lynch said you got to worry about your chickens. You worry about your chickens while you can, right?
Exactly.
But also know, and when you're thinking, when you're moving on to the next opportunity, really kind of understand the business and kind of understand where their path to profitability is and their path to, being able to not put you in that position to potentially have some layoffs. But we are still in a big tech job deficit as a whole. I know that there's a lot of people. I think what's really cool, and I know some of this can be very self-serving. I know there's a lot of people that are out there that really want to help people. Just a couple of pieces of advice, work with people that have a reputation, work with people that care about you and not just care about taking your money. And really interview the people that you're going to work with. Because there's a lot of people out there that are using this as an opportunity to build their resume rewriting programs or their, career coaching and all this other stuff that may not be to help you as much as it is to help themselves. So just be careful and cautious. Know that the three of us are here to help you and we'll help point you in the right direction as well.
Yep, 100%. Sweet. All right, boys. Well, thanks for hanging. So next week we are off, and then we have the next 3 or 4 weeks booked. We're gonna go until.
Well, we don't have the week after because it's Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah. So then the week after, So we are booked until the second week of December. Then we're taking off to load up on guests for the first of the year. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this again. Go connect with Herbert Brown. We'll be again following along with their journey. And y'all have a great one. We'll see y'all.